How's it going, Yankee fans? My name is Alex with my co-host here, Nick Nielsen, and today we want to discuss Andrew Benintendi. Now, it's reported by the New York Post that the Yankees have been in contact with the Kansas City Royals for Benintendi, and I want to discuss what it might cost, how well he's performing this season, and the fact that Joey Gallo is kind of in the conversation. A couple teams have, been in contact with Brian Cashman about maybe moving him. And the thing is, the pool is small for Joey Gallo, right? Like
Yeah,
only a team that has playoff aspirations and needs a lefty slugger is going to want Joey Gallo. So it'll be interesting to see how the Yankees
you're
approach
right.
that, what team kind of looks, and it's probably going to be like a one-off. Like we'll get like kind of maybe a middling struggling relief pitcher in return. It's really just a salary dump to take on like Andrew Benintendi's salary or whatnot. So it is interesting, but I'm excited to break down Andrew and kind of what he's done this year for the Royals on one of the worst teams in baseball and what he could potentially do for the Yankees. But how you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing really well. Last night's game kind of sucked. It's kind of funny. I think I've done 4 post games, and 3 of them the Yankees have either gotten no hit, shutout, or walked off. So that's pretty cool. Um, but last night's game was a great game. It was a really fun game. Sucks the Yankees were on the losing end. However, I think their tides will shift once more tonight. I think that they have to win the series to say, we're not gonna go away that easily. Like, come on now. Judge played really well. Rizzo played really well. Honestly, the team played really well, so it just kind of sucked that they lost. But other than that, I'm doing really well. Excited to talk Benintendi today, former Red Sox that I hated. Now could be potential Yankee that I may love.
Yeah, Benintendi is absolutely killing it this season. So right now he's on a 1-year, $8.5 million deal. So the Yankees would have to pick up maybe half of that unless the Royals agree to take on the contract, depending on what prospects they send over. But he's hitting, 317 this year with a 39% on base rate, 402 slugging. He's only hit 3 homers, but he has 34 RBIs, only strikes out at 14.2%. So less than double the amount Joey Gallo strikes out at. And walks at 10.4%, right? But, the
Yeah,
homers, only 3. It's not exactly what you want to see, but he did hit 17 last year. So, he's capable, right? He's a lefty batter. The short right portion of Yankee Stadium would definitely give him an opportunity to kind of elevate those numbers. His hard hit rate, 38.1%, down a little bit from the past, but, his barrel rate's down almost cut in half compared to last year. So 4.6% compared to 9% last year. It has a 10.8 degrees of launch angle compared to 15.4 degrees last season. So like all of his
yeah.
hard hit metrics are down. But if the Yankees were able to get that back up, I think he would hit a couple homers. So his slugging would be probably equivalent to Joey Gallo's. His exit velocity is pretty solid actually, at 89.2 miles an hour. So, he hits the ball hard as hell. And I think, that power is there. You just kind of have to tap into it. And the Yankees, it makes a lot of sense, right? Defensively, good player. He's like a left fielder. So I think, do you move Aaron Hicks to right field? Like, what would you do in that scenario?
I mean, honestly, you could do 2 things. One, you could just use Aaron Hicks as your Brett Gardner, your 4th guy, because injuries do happen. There is still going to be 2.5 months, assuming we pull the Benintendi trigger in like the week or 2 left of the season. However, I also think that you could just platoon them because Benintendi's really, 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 really good against righties, and he's okay against lefties. 91 WRC plus against lefties, but a 143 against righties. And then for Hicks, he's posting 109 against lefties and 108 against righties. So it's like you can maybe platoon them at the same time, like just see how that goes. Hicks will get a little bit less ABs naturally because there are less lefties in the league. But either way, getting Benintendi would be a huge get for this team. Like you said, sure, his like home runs aren't there this year, but he's still getting good degree launching on the ball, still hitting it hard, still barreling up, still finding the sweet spot on the bat as well. And he's walking about 10% of the time this season as well. So Benintendi is doing the things that the Yankees kind of are needing from a corner outfielder. And that's why if they got him, I don't know what they'd have to give up. Like I know that Joey Gallo's name was mentioned in that conversation. So maybe it's a prospect in Gallo for Benintendi. Because the thing the Yankees know is that Benintendi's only on a half-year deal too. So it's like it's not like they're getting him for a year and a half, or they're getting him to kind of have slot in there for the next season or so. They're getting him to make a World Series push. So I don't know if they're going to give up anything in the top 7, top 8 prospect, top 10 prospect wise for Benintendi, which is nice. That's the nice thing about getting Benintendi, because then you could also go out and get a shortstop because the Yankees desperately need to get a shortstop. But Benintendi fits the mold, fits the bill of what the Yankees are missing. Again, a 123, I believe, or 128. Let me make sure here I'm not mistaken. 128 WRC plus on the season. Like he's been really, really solid all year long. He had like a 2 or 3 week stretch where he was struggling a little bit, but since then he's just kind of turned it on again.
Yeah, man. I mean, Benintendi's been a stud, and here's an interesting point that I kind of realized when I was looking at him. Looking at his batting splits in different spots in the lineup, he's traditionally a number two hitter, right? He's a slot two hitter. This year, he's hitting 301 over 236 at bats, 71 hits, and 2 homers and 25 RBIs. He's been a stud there, right? But the thing is, we have Aaron Judge in the two slot. So
Yeah.
I wonder, where do you put Andrew Benintendi? He also has some experiences here in the third slot, but then you have Anthony Rizzo there. I think if we're being honest, you kind of have to put him at 5, where Josh Donaldson is right now, move Donaldson to 6, or you do that vice versa, or you put Benintendi at 6 and Donaldson at 5. Donaldson's been raking lately.
Yeah.
And then you have Aaron Hicks, who, like, he's killing it right now. So,
Yeah, I
like,
was going to say, Hicks doesn't deserve to be benched right now.
no,
that's
not benched.
Oh, dropped, yeah.
But what do you do? Just drop it in the lineup like one or
Benintendi
two
could bat
slots.
leadoff, because at the
That's
end
what
of the
I
day,
thought. But where did
DJ is
DJ
not
go?
great. DJ's not having a great season as a leadoff hitter. Like, he's having a good season as a leadoff hitter. I want to say he's OPSing about 715 as a leadoff hitter, 720. But as a 6-hole hitter, he's OPSing like 1,000. So
Dude,
it's like,
DJ
maybe
in
you
the
put
6. Oh my god,
maybe you
that
put
is stupid.
Benintendi at the 1, Judge 2, Rizzo 3, Stanton 4, JD 5,
That is
DJ
an
6,
unbelievable
Hicks
lineup.
7, Trevino 8, IKF 9, Marwin 9, whoever wants to go 9. And that's your like
Oswald Peraza.
That's your like everyday lineup, basically. I mean, Matt Carpenter also deserves to play. So you could put Carpenter in there over Hicks if you want, for all I care.
Go put him at shortstop at this point. Screw it.
Dude, if Carpenter's playing the outfield somehow competently, just throw him at shortstop. Say fuck it. Yeah. Like, see how he looks in like fielding ground balls? Take the All-Star weekend and be like, Mark, listen, they're gonna ask you to participate in the All-Star game, to captain the All-Star game. They're gonna ask you to participate in the home run derby. You're gonna be their cell, and you're gonna say no. Because what you're gonna be doing this weekend is fielding ground balls at shortstop on a backfield. And we're just gonna be doing that all weekend. And then when you come after the All-Star break, Matt Carpenter will just be playing shortstop and looking like Carlos Correa out there. So that's fine. That's all we need. Just that's the thing. If we get Benintendi, it's not like getting Ian Happ or getting Brian Reynolds if I go that far, because both those guys would cost, in my opinion, significantly more. Because for Happ, you have a year and a half, and then for Reynolds, you have like 2.5, 3 years of control. And in my opinion, Happ and Reynolds are both better baseball players than Andrew Benintendi. So to get Benintendi, you wouldn't have to give up a lot. And you could also have other deals going on and make other deals, which is why I like this move a lot for the Yankees if they were to acquire him. Because it'd fill a need. It'd still allow Hicks to get at bats if they wanted to platoon. It also still allow Carpenter to get at bats, because they'd immediately likely try to move on from Gallo if he's not included in this deal. And then it would also open the door for other potential bigger deals to happen, because they didn't give up one of their bigger prospects for a corner outfield spot.
So let me throw out a potential trade for you, and let me know what you think about it. So
Okay.
I don't think that there's no chance they're getting Peraza, Volpe, or Dominguez, or Arias. There's just no way. But what about Estevan Florial? I feel like Estevan Florial has the youth and the service time for him to become a pretty solid player if given the opportunity.
You could
and
just
he's
take Benintendi's spot for Kansas City.
Yeah.
They're not competing for anything. They're just trying to get to the finish line.
Exactly. He's raking right now. And what about a package of Florial and Miguel Andujar? I know Andujar doesn't have much value right now.
You're right.
But his offense is legit.
You got to look at what the Royals also did last season when they were struggling. Look at what they just did. They just gave Carlos Santana to the Mariners for, like, I don't even know what they got back. Like, that's how uneventful of a package it was they got back. And now, since that trade, Carlos Santana has led the Mariners to like a 9-game winning streak and is batting 400 over that streak. So that's great. And then look at last year, where they just dumped Jorge Soler to the Braves for like another like 27th, 28th ranked prospect in their system. So I will say the Royals being so bad gives the Yankees a lot. Oh no, the Yankees give the Yankees a lot of leverage in getting Benintendi, because it's like, all right, look, you guys aren't even close to competing for a wild card spot. You guys aren't even close to competing for the division. You guys have no real chance to win any games that mean anything. And Benintendi's gone at the end of the season anyways. Why not try to get something for him? So getting Florial would be a great deal. Again, Florial and Gallo for Benintendi, I will be thrilled with that. Because not only do we get Florial off, who actually deserves at bats, to go to a team that sucks, but we get Gallo off the books, and he actually gets to go somewhere where there's no high pressure situations, and he can just play baseball. And we get Benintendi, who clearly misses the big game, the big leagues. I mean, the dude was a stud at Arkansas in the SEC. Went, I want to say, second overall in the draft. And then was the number one prospect in baseball, played for the Red Sox. They traded him away. They didn't believe he had what it took. There's a chip on his shoulder, and he'd make a great Yankee.
He absolutely would make a great Yankee. Also, because he kills the Yankees every time that we freaking play him. So having him on your side, look, if you can't beat him, buy him. That's been the Yankees mantra for a long time. And Benintendi is very good. He gets on base a lot, right? Like that's a huge thing for this team. Getting guys on base, especially if you have him, he's not going to steal many bases for you, but he has decent speed. He's not like anything crazy athletically speaking. But I'll tell you what, you have to figure out a way to get him on base before your big sluggers come up,
Yeah.
right? So like, okay, this might sound a little crazy, and I know Benintendi probably wouldn't like this.
Uh-oh.
But if you put him in like the 8 or 9 spot, and then you have Judge in the 2 slot, you're not even like disregard the entire concept of like dropping a guy down the order. Maybe you're just putting him in a spot where he can be on base for a slugger, right? Like maybe there's a concept there that like screw the entire logic of like a batting order, and like the person who's in the 9 spot isn't as good as the person in the first slot. Like you're just playing it to the advantages of how it's structured. And like you could even put him right before Aaron Hicks lately. Maybe you just go like you kind of maneuver him around because he has such a high on base percentage. You put him in spots where like guys who are raking right now can have an opportunity to bat him in. Like, like Aaron Hicks or even Donaldson, who's killing it offensively the last couple of days. Like you can kind of move him and just put him before guys who are doing well in that category. So I think there's a lot of versatility and creativity with how the Yankees can structure their lineup with a guy like Andrew Benintendi because of how much he gets on base. And I think that is an unbelievable point in what should be a pretty good argument to make that Benintendi would be a good acquisition for this team and is not going to cost you an arm and a leg. Like Ian Happ and Brian Reynolds are going to cost you a lot. And Ian Happ only has a year and a half left of control before he's a free agent. And the Yankees are going to have to give up one of their stud prospects to get him. If they're going to go after anyone and have to give up a stud prospect, they should probably just do Brian Reynolds because they're going to get way more control over him. And then you have like, of course, the Luis Castillo conversation, but I think that's a little different. I'll make this argument though. If Cashman really wants to go balls to the wall, he could get Benintendi and a star pitcher and only give up one of those top prospects. Like only give up Peraza. And I think that's the argument that we really should be having right now. It's not Ian Happ or Brian Reynolds. It's Benintendi and Luis Castillo.
Yeah, and the other thing is like if we get Luis Castillo, there's even a world where we don't lose Peraza. Like we could just really like Peraza and we could be like, listen, we know you like we know you like Peraza. We'll just give you a one that's a little bit behind him in Alexander Vargas, and we'll throw in Elijah Dunham, and they want Will Warren, so we'll throw in Will Warren, or we can do Trey Sweeney. Right. Like we could give them more of like a multitude of guys rather than one of our top guys, and I think the Reds would take it. They're the Reds. They just dumped Jesse Winker in a salary dump with Eugenio Suarez, and Eugenio Suarez is just kind of torching the baseball this year. So maybe we could just get something from them because of the fact that they're the Reds, and we could get Castillo for a bit of a steal and hang on to Peraza. Because after we did our episode yesterday on should Peraza be traded, I got thinking a lot more. And after watching IKF play baseball again yesterday, it was like, wow, when he played defense, it's like, that's pretty damn good. And then when he bat, when he bat, it was like it's the worst at bats.
Useless.
Like he's so at this point, it's like I think Peraza could have those wow, what a nice play defensive moments and be like, wow, this kid can slug. And IKF, there's none of that. IKF's the most one-dimensional hitter in baseball. He's like a worse Nick Madrigal, and that's saying something. So like when you have no tools, no one's going to really be afraid to pitch to you. And yesterday he went 0 for 5, 0 for 4 with numerous groundouts. And it's like, dude, every time you hit the ball, it's just soft contact. So I would like to see us keep Peraza and like bump him up or trade him for a shortstop and get like a more proven shortstop, if that makes sense. So like if you dump Peraza and another guy for Jazz Chisholm, like let's say you offered the Marlins the same package you would offer the Pirates for Brian Reynolds and they say yes, bam, there's your shortstop of the future. Like I just don't want to lose Peraza for someone that's not going to really be as impactful on the team. Like losing Peraza for Castillo wouldn't be like the worst deal because of how good Castillo's been in the past 4 starts, especially. But I wouldn't be super thrilled with it because we'd be losing our third best prospect for a starting pitcher that's had some injury problems, a little bit of velo issues, and has pitched like 0 postseason games in his career.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting. I think that, the Yankees can do a lot to improve this team at the deadline, but it's just a matter of how much they're willing to spend in terms of farm system prospects and whatnot.
True.
But guys, would love to hear your opinions on Andrew Benintendi. Do you think that he makes the most sense out of the guys that we have talked about, Brian Reynolds, Ian Happ, in the outfield and replacing Joey Gallo? It seems like they're kind of headed in that direction, but we've seen the Yankees, be involved in a lot of talks before and nothing materialized. So it's hard to say if anything will actually happen. But if there was any time to do it, it's now, because this team can win a World Series this year. And if Cashman fails to make the necessary moves and they don't win it because they're missing that last piece, we're going to be pissed, and we are not going to forget it.
There's going to be no way to answer to it, because at the end of the day, if we don't win the World Series, I think Judge could walk, or we don't bring back Judge. Like, I think it's honestly, I don't want to say World Series or bust, but for how good this season's going, the aspirations right now are World Series or bust. Like, the only team that could compete with us is, in my opinion, over a 5-game or a 7-game series, are the Houston Astros. And even in a 7-game series, I think we can beat the Astros easily. So I guess I wouldn't say easily. I think we can beat the Astros. I'm not like those analysts where they're like, Houston has got New York's number. Like, the Yankees are great, yeah, but Houston's just got something. It's like, no, the Yankees are clearly the best team in baseball. They split with Houston, and that was with Houston no-hitting them for a game and 2/3. So, like, come on, give them their roses.
Right. I mean, look, I think my last point here will be, we just, honestly, I hope we don't face Houston in the playoffs. I hope that they get knocked out by somebody else.
That'd be pretty awesome. Honestly, it'd be pretty awesome. Like,
because that would help
they get
us
on the other side of the divisional where we don't have to face them.
Right.
Until and they lose to the Blue Jays, or somehow the Red Sox beat them.
That would be huge, right?
Maybe the Twins surprise everyone and actually win a wild card game.
Yeah, you never know. Look, Houston, if we're the first seed, we have the chance at skipping out on playing them. So it just comes down to, like, does another team show up and knock them out? But it's interesting. This is going to be a really fun rest of the season, guys.
I do think Benintendi helps us a lot to beat Houston. He just becomes our like Michael Brantley. Like, he's not no-hitting us with him. No, and he's like the exact same player as Michael Brantley. So, like, when Michael Brantley re-signed with Houston, a lot of people are like, that's a great pickup. That's a sneaky good pickup. Michael Brantley is a 300, 310 hitter for, like, lifetime. We could just pick up, like, a younger version of him.
Right. That would be awesome. But guys, we'd love to hear your thoughts below in the YouTube comments. As always, make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.